Tashle, my dear fellow Tibetans, my name is Ogen Gyab and I am a candidate for the 18th Parliament of the Central Tibetan Administration, representing Dome. I was born in Amdo Hwari, a region of profound historical and cultural significance. Situated at Tibet's extreme northeastern border, Hwari holds a unique place in our history. It was here that the landmark meeting between Satya Pentita and the Mongol prince Godan Khan took place. This encounter established a priest-patron relationship, a spiritual and political bond unique to Tibetan history. My home district is also the site of Marsang Monastery, founded by Lhaching Gongpa Rapsal in the 10th century during the dark age of the Tibetan Buddhism, following the persecution by King Langtarma during the era of the fragmentation. It was this sacred site that preserved and eventually revived our monastic lineages. The second propagation of Buddhism, Tenpa Chidar, into central Tibet began from this very monastery. Amdo Hwari has a long legacy of producing eminent scholars, and I'm honored to carry that heritage forward as I seek to serve our community in my capacity as a parliamentarian. To demonstrate my commitment as a Chitwi candidate, I've launched my campaign with a series of in-depth talks totaling over 5 hours available on YouTube and Facebook. In these videos, I detail my background, qualifications, and legislative goals. I also provide a comprehensive perspective on my dedication to the middle way approach, explaining how its core objectives serve to preserve our culture, identity, and way of life by uniting the three traditional provinces of Tibet. I encourage you to watch these videos to better understand my vision and become a fully informed voter. To briefly outline my qualifications as a Chitwi candidate, I hold a master's degree and have a long-standing record of academic excellence. Throughout my schooling, I was a consistent topper, won numerous inter-school academic competitions, and edited various academic journals. Key milestones include ranking first among all Tibetan schools in science for the Class 10 CBSE exams and becoming the all-time record-breaking topper for the Class 12 CBSE exams. These achievements earned me the prestigious Gadan Podrang Student Merit Award and admission to St. Stephen's College in Delhi, the most coveted college in India, where I completed my undergraduate studies. My professional journey includes extensive experience in the corporate sector, during which I also earned my postgraduate degree. In 2016, I served at the Tibetan Parliamentary Secretariat, where I translated the Tibetan Charter and a big volume on self-immolations into English, alongside trilingual work in Tibetan, English, and Chinese. As a candidate for Member of Parliament, I would like to outline my key objectives. Over the years, I've devoted considerable time to analyzing the critical issues facing our nation, from internal challenges within our exiled community and the Sino-Tibetan conflict to the international community's response to our struggle. Beyond identifying these issues, I have gradually developed concrete strategies and plans to address them. These include strengthening our legal and institutional foundations to ensure enduring democratic governance, intensifying our national political struggle against China's genocidal policies, promoting economic self-sufficiency, devising pathways in our educational system that develop a strong human capital, addressing the urgent need for population growth, and advancing the overall modernization and progress of the Tibetan nation. To keep it short, I'm going to briefly outline some of these ideas I intend to work on if elected to the parliament. As an MP, my primary agenda is to stabilize our democracy. I plan to address the root causes of institutional instability and, if necessary, introduce bills to eradicate them. The primary drivers of instability in any democratic system are unjust structures and unequal laws. Unfortunately, our Tibetan exile democratic system currently violates even the fundamental principle of one person, one vote. Likewise, while approximately 45% of our diaspora now resides overseas, they are represented by only 5 members of parliament, whereas the 55% living in India, Nepal, and Bhutan holds 30 seats. This imbalance highlights the need to make our democratic representation more proportional. However, as we increase the numbers of MPs representing the overseas Tibetans, a very important point to keep in mind here is that their constituencies should also be based on traditional provinces. Otherwise, the principle of equal representation for all three Cholkas currently practiced in India, Nepal, and Bhutan will be rendered meaningless. Our exiled democratic institutions are founded on the basis of Tibetans living in Tibet, and equal representation of all three provinces is essential. If any region receives less representation, it may be perceived as discrimination, causing people from that province to feel marginalized. Ultimately, this would weaken the overall significance and credibility of the Tibetan government in exile, Central Tibetan Administration. Then, the Standing Committee of the Parliament, which makes critical decisions, is composed of 50% religious MPs, while Cholka MPs make up only 20%, and overseas MPs may have no representation at all. These systemic inequalities are the primary inherent factors of instability embedded within our democratic system that could explode one day, especially after His Holiness the Great 14th Dalai Lama. I'm committed to reforming the system to undo these systemic flaws to ensure a more just and representative government. Regionalism and regional loyalty constitute the principal sources of disunity within our exiled community. This condition is largely attributable to the parliament, the talking shop, the bear pit of politics. Religious chiefs within the parliament, in particular, play a significant role in perpetuating these divisions. I've long believed that the religious community, recognized as one of the triple gems in which we laymen take refuge, ought to remain above mundane partisan political engagement. Direct participation in electoral politics risks undermining the collective reverence accorded to the monastic community and entangling religious authority in secular disputes. Accordingly, a structural reform that removes monastic representation from the parliament would help address the inequalities and divisions noted above, and would contribute meaningfully to greater regional harmony and unity. The monastic community could be represented through the Ministry of Religion and Culture, with a galon drawn from that community. This single reform would address many of the systemic challenges currently faced. To intensify our political struggle within the context of a Sino-Tibetan conflict, I believe that the 98% of Tibetans living inside Tibet must be brought into our political struggle against the Chinese government. For the past 66 years, only the 2% of Tibetans living in exile have carried out this struggle. This approach has clearly proven ineffective against a brutal communist regime that grows more powerful by the day and continues to pursue increasingly harsh policies of cultural genocide aimed at eradicating Tibetans as a people. While we should certainly continue our effort to engage the free world and seek international support, we must also think seriously about new and more effective methods of struggle. I've spent a great deal of time reflecting on this issue, and I've come to the conclusion that the only viable path forward is to bring Tibetans inside Tibet into this fight. Such involvement would pose a direct challenge to the Chinese government and place a real pressure on it, pressure that could ultimately lead to change, or at the very least, to a loosening of its genocidal policies inside Tibet. We already possess invaluable resources to achieve this. These include the unwavering nationalism and courage of Tibetans inside Tibet, the modern technologies that can help us connect with them, and the presence in exile of Tibetans from every region of Tibet. By effectively leveraging these resources, our political leadership could design and implement a systematic strategy to directly guide and organize Tibetans inside Tibet into a formidable force, one capable of exerting direct pressure on the Chinese government and compelling it to retreat from its current brutal policies. History shows that the Chinese government has, on numerous occasions, made concessions when confronted by direct and sustained pressure from its own people. Understandably, the foremost concern regarding such a strategy is the risk of severe crackdowns by the Chinese government. However, there are ways, many of them actually within our own control, to minimize these risks. On top of utilizing the new anti-censorship technology and circumvention tools, the level of danger, in fact, largely depends on how well we organize and lead the movement. I've explained at length in those extensive talks kept on YouTube as to what options are available for reducing the risks. There's certainly no doubt that the Chinese government is willing to repress, punish, and kill, but it cannot do it today as it did 60 years ago during the Cultural Revolution. Times have changed, the world has changed. In this age of technology, global connectivity, and heightened international awareness, it is unlikely that the Chinese government would dare to kill indiscriminately. If we organize and lead the movement in a large scale, educate people in methods of non-violent resistance, and ensure that crackdowns are met with broader, sustained, and more unified protests, the risks can be significantly reduced. Likewise, I have plans to address other key issues, including achieving financial autonomy for Tibetans in exile, strengthening our educational system to better develop human capital, readjusting government spending to establish a welfare system that supports prospective parents and encourages population growth, and promoting overall material progress in modernization while preserving our unique cultural and religious heritage. I do not intend to give a lengthy talk here. A comprehensive discussion of the pressing issues facing our exiled community and the Tibetans as a whole has already been presented in Tibetan and is available on YouTube. I'll include a QR code to my YouTube channel at the end of this video for those who wish to watch it. Thank you so much. Tatering inji no la tsikashi shuguya de tanga inji share la gaushu yoni mare. Tachitang nganzu gi ta pyobe tapzo de nanglo la inji ke la de hangsa keshimbo cha de yu tuzamba ani inji no la tsikashi shugu keson tochena.